What's the most ridiculous rule you've heard someone have for their house, family, or children? Story 1. When I was a kid, I spent a lot of time at my best friend's house. Her mom wouldn't let us drink more than 1 glass of water in the afternoon because she thought it would dilute the nutrients in our bodies. Instead, she gave us 7-Up if we were thirsty. I ended up secretly drinking water out of the bathroom faucet every time I used the bathroom when I was thirsty at her house. Reply: 7-Up for nutrients? Yeah, with how dumb she sounds, that checks out actually. Story 2. My friend's parents ran a tab for him and his brother. They added up how much they spent on food, clothes, sports, etc., and told the 2 boys that's how much they would have to pay them back. I remember once we got yelled at for eating his dad's snacks, and he added it to the tab. When we graduated, the parents cleared the tab for their graduation gift. So basically, they got nothing more than a reminder of how much they cost. Whoa, that's definitely an interesting way for parents to teach their kids about the value of money. Personally, I'm not sure if I agree with the method, as it seems a bit harsh to constantly remind your children how much they owe you. However, I do see the intention behind it and can appreciate the lesson it teaches about responsibility and budgeting. Story 3. My friend had a 9 p.m. bedtime that was thoroughly enforced by her mom's creepy boyfriend. I stayed over once, not knowing about this. We had to be in bed, lights out by 9, or else. He sat outside the bedroom to make sure we didn't even talk to each other. I wasn't used to going to bed so early at 16, so after about 45 minutes, I got up to pee, and he interrogated me on what I was doing and told me I had 3 minutes to be back in bed, or else. So I never slept over again. But once she came to my house and this dude drove by at 5 minutes past 9 p.m. and saw my bedroom light was on. Yes, he made her point out my bedroom window so he could check. Then he called my house and demanded my mom tell him why we weren't in bed. She lied and told him we were sleeping in the basement and she was cleaning my room. Then told him he better fuck off pronto or she'd be calling the police on him for scoping out her kid's bedroom window. Reply: that is insane. What the hell was wrong with that guy that he thought he could enforce his strange rules on other people's kids? Story 4. My wife once had a friend over for a sleepover when she was little. Suddenly, their mom showed up to take them home. Apparently, the friend had seen beer in the fridge and called her mom crying because of it. They were not allowed to look at, talk about, think about, and especially drink beer. Scared her so much that she called her mom to come to get her. Whoa, that must have been a really scary experience for the little girl. It's understandable why her parents would be so strict about alcohol, but it seems like their approach might have been a bit too extreme. Personally, I believe that it's important to educate kids about alcohol and teach them responsible drinking habits rather than just banning it altogether. Story 5. My great-uncle only allowed 1 bowl, 1 plate, 1 spoon, 1 fork, 1 knife, 1 cup, and 1 light bulb in his house. He was married with 3 kids. He ate first, then the wife, then the kids my age. When he went to another room, the light bulb followed. Story 6. I have a friend whose dad had 1 paper towel specifically used for eating bagels. You cannot reheat or eat your bagel on anything other than the bagel towel. No plates or bowls were allowed to be used for bagels. You got your turn with the bagel paper towel, or you waited till it was free. Story 7. My father-in-law forbade my wife and tried to forbid my 2 children from driving once they passed their driving tests. His wisdom was, put that piece of paper, driving license, in a jar for 5 years to reduce the amount of insurance they would pay. Spoken like he was passing down the knowledge of the ancients. Fucking idiot. Story 8. My stepmom had a totally bonkers rule about feet. She was irrationally afraid of plantar warts, and, according to her, anyone she didn't know intimately had plantar warts. As a family, we had a second home/beach house that was basically a small bungalow and only had 1 restroom with 1 stall shower. Nobody, no friends or relatives could use that shower after the beach because they'll get their plantar warts all over the floor, and then she'll take a shower and she'll get plantar warts. We also had a swimming pool, and she would make new people, including children, wear socks in the swimming pool. And as far as I know, nobody living in our house, including her, ever had plantar warts. So, unreasonable, sure. Effective, sure. Overall, I think it's important to approach these kinds of situations with empathy and understanding, but also to recognize when someone's fears are becoming unreasonable or disruptive to daily life. I mean, there are certainly more reasonable ways to do so than forcing people to wear socks in a swimming pool. Story 9. I was in a friend's kitchen. We were 8. I sneezed, then turned and took a kitchen paper tissue from the roll, cleared my nose, and walked toward the kitchen sink door to throw the wad into the trash bin. My friend burst out, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What? Throw away the trash." He continued, "Are you crazy? Snot paper doesn't go in the kitchen trash. Jesus, what if Mom found out?" I'd already thrown it, but he fished it out of the bin and flushed it in the toilet in under 10 seconds. I already knew his mom was a nasty old battle axe, but I had no idea how deep her will manifests itself in that sick house. Story 10. I had a couple of childhood friends whose families had the same damn rule: no drinking water during a meal. Their family also served incredibly big plates of food, which we weren't used to, and the cup we could drink after we were done was stupidly small. Another house rule that was no good was to be left uneaten. Good rule in theory, but we 9 to 7-year-old children were being served 2 to 3 adult-sized plates filled to the brim plus dessert. The way that the family ate was incredible. My brother and I loved going over because their house was amazing. We later found out their money came from their dad dealing drugs. But we hated their mealtime. Our friends were made to wait for us to finish eating, standing behind their chairs. Sometimes it would take us a couple of hours to somewhat finish, but most times we couldn't do it. It got awkward sometimes. Story 11. When I was a kid, my friend's mom was a little nuts. She had a sitting room with a couch and love seat that nobody was ever allowed to sit on. You had to walk through it to get to the rest of the house, and it led to the kitchen and then the living room. If you sat on the furniture in the sitting room, she'd throw a fit. I always felt like it was such a waste to have such a nice room and never use it. It would have been a perfect study room or reading room. She also had other crazy rules, like punishing my friend when his little sister did anything wrong, as if he was responsible for her actions and looking out for her. Story 12. During the first and only visit to his house, I was hanging out with a friend of about 12 years old. His younger brother, I'm going to guess about 6 years old, asked their mom the following question: "Mommy, can I have some milk, please?" The mother said, "Come here, baby boy," and she picked him up. He then pulled her shirt down, she corrected him by pulling her shirt up, and he started drinking. It is vividly imprinted in my mind because as a 12-year-old child, this was one of the sexiest and grossest things I could have ever conceived of, happening directly in front of me. Luckily, I was able to keep a straight face, and it only lasted for about 20 seconds. My friend acted like nothing was amiss, and he just kept on with the conversation, which horrified me, but also helped me pretend it wasn't happening. So I guess a lack of rules was the weird rule. It just felt like an odd thing to do in front of a first-time visitor. I will also say that I was blown away that a 6-year-old was still breastfeeding. And it has stuck with me for many years, until this very post at this very moment. Apparently, according to a 2-minute Google, nursing until that age isn't all that strange around the world. I have no idea what to say about this story besides that I am shocked. Nursing your kid at 6? Come on, man, that's borderline insane if you ask me. I have no idea what I would have done in that situation. I'd probably run back home and never speak to that friend again because I think it's too weird or something. Some people are just weird, I guess. Story 13. Pickle time. My aunt was getting her degree in early childhood education/development and went overboard with scheduling my cousin's life to the 9th degree. When I would visit, I wasn't allowed to go into the fridge for a pickle unless it was pickle time. Right, but isn't pickle time? We were preteens. I waited until she went to the bathroom and took the whole jar of pickles into my cousin's room and played Nintendo and ate all the pickles. Story 14. I once went over to a friend's house when I was younger, and she lived with her mom and grandma. We were eating Thin Mints, and my friend didn't want the rest and offered them to me, so I ate them. Well, it turns out the grandma saw me eat her Thin Mints and proceeded to yell at me and what an awful greedy child I was. I was 11. When I told my parents about it, I wasn't allowed over to her place anymore. Story 15. Growing up, my dad and stepmother gave my sister and me chores that we had to do before we were allowed to go out with friends. I thought it was normal until I moved out. When I vacuumed, the marks couldn't overlap and they had to go in the same direction. I had to clean the bathroom and wipe everything down, including the shower, no water spots allowed. No personal items, shoes, jackets, or bags could be left in any other part of the house besides your room. We had a sitting room that no one was allowed in that I also had to clean weekly. We had a dishwasher, but I had to do the dishes every day by hand. I had an 11 p.m. curfew even on prom night. After I joined the military and moved away, married, and had children, I still had the same 11 p.m. curfew if I came back to visit. I was in my 30s at this point. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I didn't get an allowance for this, so if I wanted money, I had to not eat lunch at school and save my lunch money. Honestly, I think it's pretty crazy how strict your dad and stepmother were with the chores and curfew, even when you're an adult visiting their home. It's fascinating how some families have such different dynamics and expectations. In my opinion, it sounds like they were trying to teach you discipline, but they have gone a bit overboard with it. Story 16. My friend's dad would have almost screamed rage at me if I didn't finish all my food. He would say we don't waste food in this house, and he'd bully me to eat it. I refused, and my friend usually finished it for me. This is a very good way to teach disordered eating. Never force someone to eat something vile and harmful. I ended up not spending the night anymore after that happened a few times. Story 17. A girl I knew in high school was very insistent on her boyfriend getting her pregnant so she could go live with him. The reason was her father, and by her silence, the mother as well, has a very strict view of the role of females in the house. He was a taxi driver, so his hours weren't always the same, but every time he got home he would expect a daughter waiting for him to take his jacket at the door, if it was the season for it, and take him to the sofa, where she would take off his shoes to wash his feet and give him a massage. Other tasks sounded equally ridiculous, but later in life we started hearing stories in little communities with similar traditional fathers that included some nasty stuff, which made me remember her and think about how she and her sisters were so adamant on getting the fuck out of that house. Story 19. My father, a Marine, when he was up, it was time for the whole house to be up. So 4:30 a.m. or 5 a.m. he was awake, and me and my brothers, etc. had to get up as well. Sometimes on weekends we could sleep till 6-7 a.m. I still get up every day at 5-6 a.m. There's also more. Always say yes or no. Never sure or whatever. It was yes sir or dad. He then taught us how to drill, aka left, 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 right, left, etc., which helped with my very short military career. The shit was intense. Taught a lot about responsibility, but damn, there were so many rules as a kid/teen. Story 20. I babysat a family where the mom insisted on all food being chopped up as if it were being given to toddlers. Her kids were 6, 8, and 11. They were all fully capable of biting, chewing, and cutting up their own food for the most part, but she was so terrified that they would choke, so it all had to be chopped up. Her husband and the kids hated this rule and didn't follow it whenever she wasn't around. But once she found that out, she put cameras in the kitchen to watch whenever someone was eating. Soon after the cameras went up, she and her husband got a divorce over the crazy behavior, and they all moved away. I wonder how the kids are these days. It's interesting that the husband and kids didn't follow the rule when she wasn't around, which shows they probably thought it was excessive as well. The addition of cameras in the kitchen is a whole other level of surveillance, and I can see how that could be the tipping point for their relationship. It's a real shame that the family had to go through a divorce, but sometimes it's for the best if the situation becomes untenable. Story 21. I had a friend when I was like 8 or so, and the entire family, mom, dad, 80-year-old, 5-year-old, and 2-year-old, all showered together. I truly don't think anything nefarious was going on. Oh, and also, this wasn't due to saving water for financial purposes or anything, because they were loaded. It was really weird. I would be hanging out and they'd all just leave me to watch some TV in the living room for a bit while they all piled in the master shower. They also didn't let the kids cut their hair until they were in their teens. Story 22. My stepfather was very weird about food. I was a pretty light eater as a child and would eat a little of everything and still have a full plate at the end of the meal, But I'd be full, and my mom never had a problem with it as long as I ate something. When she married my stepdad when I was about 7, I had to eat everything on my plate. Unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. I had eaten my fill of a meal one day, and he told me to finish my plate, and I explained that I was done. He told me I'd eat that food until I was done, and I assumed I could be done, so I left. Next mealtime, I sat down, and that same plate was sat in front of me whilst everybody else ate a different meal. This continued for 2 days as the food got more and more disgusting with every day and microwaving until he decided that being around everybody else was distracting me. So every mealtime I was sent with my disgusting plate of food to go eat with the dogs in the pet room at the back of the house on the little toddler table and chairs. I think my mom ended up throwing away the plate after about 5 days because she told my stepdad that I'd learned my lesson and she wasn't about to let me get sick over it. He passed away when I was 11, so maybe that's karma, but I wouldn't be the one to say it. Story 23. I had some childhood friends. Their family was extremely religious, but very nice. They were never allowed to watch TV. The only movies they were allowed to watch were VeggieTales or Christian-related movies. They could play video games, but only Pokemon and Animal Crossing. If it had a hint of magic or violence, they couldn't go near it. I'm honestly surprised they gave Pokemon a pass. I was a boy and both were girls, so someone was literally always there watching us every second. They were never allowed to leave the house to go play at someone else's. The other kids on the block would always try to talk about Harry Potter or new TV shows, and they had no idea about anything. They were also homeschooled.
Please leave your story down below in the comments. I would absolutely love to make a video about them in the future. And also don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.